Dude, I'm exhausted. Daily videos kind of be whooping my ass only a day in. Alright, so you all might be wondering why I gathered you here today. And that is for one simple reason. It's to talk about this damn old video and shit. You might be wondering, Jake, honestly, what more is there that needs to be fucking said about this thing? You already made a 2-hour video, and I'd love to agree with you. But unfortunately, there is a lot more. Where am I getting all of this info from? I posted this on the Gainesville subreddit, and so talking about that, but then also the comments, and then also what I've heard in person. The biggest thing people have noted is that, like, the video, it's clickbaity off of how the school district stole millions. And then the majority of it is about not that. That's like the conclusion. And that is kind of the claim, but it's not really the narrative. And to them, I say, yeah. That's just how it is, baby. Yeah, you gotta clickbait it. That's why I titled it that, because it's much easier to do that than to be like, me telling my story of how I was. You know, if I do the title of an ode to TV production, that's not gonna perform as well. And so I felt a little guilty about it. That's why, like, in the intro trailer for it, burpee. Yeah, that's why I added the subtitle of an ode to TV production. It was because I wanted to do that, but I didn't market it off of that because I realized that, like, that would cause it to perform worse. Because the way the video was structured is that it's very focused on me. It's talking about my own shit. It's kind of autobiographical. Because I originally tried to approach this video being entirely objective, trying to go about it as a news reporter, but that was difficult and it made for bad product. And so the script I went with was the second version of the script. I used 2 different recordings, but that was the 3rd and 4th time I recorded the whole fucking thing. Because the first 2 I used on the old script. And so the old script was really much more focused on trying to be objective and everything. But because I'm just like a kid who went through high school, it doesn't work as good of an emotional narrative takedown because it's just like, yeah, here's this anecdote, here's this anecdote, here's this anecdote, here's this anecdote. They don't really add up to much. It's more of a list of grievances. And then that was the first half. And then the second half, I was like, here's all this shit with the budgets. That's kind of weird. I don't know. Draw your own speculations. It's inconsistent. It wasn't good. So the way I structured this was trying to be a lot more of a narrative, trying to show how it all was incredibly deeply personal to me, how much it mattered to me, how directly tied up in this I felt. Essentially, the original version was trying to go about it as a journalist. The second version, which is what I went with, is trying to go about it as catharsis while still shining light on something. And I think I did ultimately achieve that. Let me read the Reddit comment. The Reddit comment pissed me off so much. I'm sorry, but any TV production person would know not to bury the lead 10 plus minutes into a video. Even with playback at 1.5x, the audience is going to lose interest unless you actually get to the point. So first off, the first sentence is passive aggressive. You know, but any TV production would know not to. Like, yeah, dog, I was self-taught for TV production. I had 1 year of having a TV production teacher. It was in 6th grade. It was half a year, really, because then he became the vice principal. And then for the rest of the year, for the rest of middle school, I had a lady who didn't really know much about TV production, but she was just kind of chill. And then in my junior and senior year of high school, the teacher I had wasn't much of a teacher. He also didn't know all that much. So I was self-taught all of this. I mean, I don't know. His whole thing is like, you don't explain what the point is. But I do in the fucking trailer. Like, it's right here. This is the claim. It's in large text right on screen. Are you able to read? Because I know I am, and you're certainly typing like you think you know how to read. Point at which time marks the content is actually located. I mean, it's incredible. It's just like snooty. And so I was annoyed, and I said, if you're that impatient, check the timestamps. Point of how it was structured is to show how it was all personal to me and how personal experiences further exemplify the school district's ambivalence towards properly caring for their student body. That's why I even start with a disclaimer saying how this is deeply personal and how I'm not structuring it as a piece of art. And he says your headline doesn't imply that, which I think is dumb. Is he saying the title is dumb? Because, like, if so, yeah, dog, I structured this for YouTube. Like, that's how you get a YouTube audience. I just copied and pasted the fucking title. If you want me to do a Reddit title, I would do, yeah, I talk about my own personal experiences for an hour and a half, and then there's like half hour of like actually going into detail about stuff. But no one gives a shit about that, and that wouldn't have gotten me 22 views from Reddit like I did get. It's just me ranting for a bit, but whatever. Yeah, this guy is writing like as if the video was made for the subreddit. The video was not made for the subreddit. The inclination of everyone is going to be that you are implying that school district did something bad and you're going to explain why. It isn't impatience, it is expectation. And it's like, I did explain why. You delivered a headline, then failed to substantiate it within the first 90 seconds. That's a fair statement. I think that is one thing I could probably do more, is to like punch up the beginning a little bit. But like, whatever. I did as much as I was going to do. I kind of got into it, but then took a break. But then I also got I got like 2 or 1 comment saying like, I don't get the point or whatever. Like, okay, then just don't watch. Like, yeah, obviously it's for YouTube. It's for a YouTube audience. You gotta clickbait it. That's the truth. And so I do kind of talk about how it is, they are stealing millions. I do get there. You just gotta be patient. You gotta give it time. You gotta let it build up. You're the one clicking onto a 2-hour video. That's how narratives work. Climax is at the end, bro. So one realization I kind of had is that from the way I talk about the video, it's all like how this was an incredibly hard time period, all these ups and downs, constantly dealing with getting shut down or working on new projects or whatever, and a battle with creativity and interspliced with like really bad, depressing things and frustrations and roadblocks and whatever. And while that's all true, I think that is a slight unfair way to solely think about things. Because I did admittedly really enjoy my time in TV production. I think it was really good for me. It really reinforced my goals of wanting to do video stuff. It made me feel like I could work well in front of an audience. When I started TV production, what I realized is that I have a captive audience here of the whole school. The whole school is forced to watch a boring news program every day. The way I phrased it is, what if I change that captive audience to a willing audience, to an excited audience? They want to watch what I have to put on. And I did. And so that proved to me that I can make good stuff that people would want to seek out. And I think that was really good for me mentally. But even besides that, I think the experience was good. I loved the daily aspect of it. That's why I really like doing these daily streams, daily videos. I don't know as much because that's exhausting. But what was I saying? I forgot. Oh, I had a good time in TV production. It was a good experience. I think being able to be creative, do all that stuff was incredibly fulfilling. I don't have a lot of regrets with it. I don't. It's just really unfortunate how that all panned out, how it all ended. And it just makes it all sting a little bit. Someone messaged me on Instagram saying, it's crazy to hear me shit talk Buchholz because I'm the only thing they really remember from it. And I responded to them and I said how I do have a lot of love for the TV production program, but I have very little for the school. Because the school, it's just another school. And to me, I see, having been like essentially a micro celebrity at the school, you can kind of, it feels like you see through a lot of the different aspects of it, and that like I just see the Buchholz logo and it's like seeing through directly to the administration, because I have no respect for authority. Straight up. I just don't. And so I see these like figureheads of things, and Buchholz is another high school. It doesn't have a very particularly unique culture. It doesn't have anything. It is just another high school, and the name and logo is just an example, or it's just a representation of who works there, of the staff, because the staff presumably don't move every 4 years like the students do. There is no unique culture to the school. It's just another school. So I don't have a lot of love for the school. I don't. I have a lot of love for some of the teachers. I have a lot of love for the TV production program. I don't have any for the school. When I did everything with TV production, I never tried to be, I don't know, what would the term be for like patriotism, but for your high school? I was never school spirity. I really wasn't. I didn't make any promos for the school. I didn't make any promos for events or whatever, but I never did anything with school spirit. I never did, even when I was at the football game. It was a perfect example actually, because we had another kid in the class who was pretty good with video stuff at that time. He left at the end of the semester, but at that time he was there. We both went to the football game. I recorded my video in the way I recorded it, which is a vlog, incredibly fast paced, or not incredibly, but like quicker editing and just like paying attention to every single thing other than the football. The best joke in there, I still stand by, is the job crisis one. You set it up, you have the ice cream shop setting up, and you say they had to close because of the job crisis, and then you cut back to it later on and you say the job crisis is over. I focused on everything in that video other than the football, because the whole focus of the school was football. That was like the school spirit. That was the school thing. We were the Bobcats. We played football. The coach's son was like the lead quarterback. He probably go on to play the NFL, even though he's like kind of a creep, from what I've heard. Allegedly. But I made that football video, and I made it entirely in my style, which was not giving a single shit about school spirit. I didn't care. I didn't. When I did my Jake shows, they were not trying to be formal, sitting down saying, hey, this is school time now. It was entirely fake. It was entirely me on a green screen fucking around doing whatever. The closest I got was when I sat in the lawn chair in front of the school in the parking lot. But even that was to kind of take the piss out of it, because like, well, I guess I'm fucking here. But then at that football game, the same kid, the one who I went with, originally he was supposed to help me with recording, but he kind of fucked off doing his own thing. But then for that same football game, he went and he made like his own like sports reporting thing of it, talking about how, oh yeah, it was great when the footballer did this and the linebacker did that and they kissed at the end and whatever, and like, oh, crazy plays, blah blah blah, having some footage from it. It was like, that was so much more in the school spirit kind of thing, being like, yeah, we're fucking awesome. But it was just me dicking around, and people liked what I did, from my perspective, at least from what I saw, a hell of a lot more than they liked the like official football sportsy thing. The only school spirity stuff I did as part of TV production was when we did pep rallies, and that was because we were forced to do them. We were forced to run the tech on that. But they were a fucking mess, and I tried to run it as well as I could because I didn't want it to be brand image damaging to the TV production. But so I don't have love for the school. The school was another school. I have a love for the program. And the program, all the program really was it gave me a captive audience that I turned into a willing audience. I had a teacher who didn't know what he was teaching, and so he was incredibly hands-off because I took initiative. I think that program would do a lot better with a better teacher. Like, I think if I had a teacher who not only was like allowed me to have creative freedom, but also was like encouraging of it, was like helpful and all this stuff, that would have been better. So I think, hopefully they get that at some point. I don't know if they do currently. Speaking of, I want to reach out to the current teacher of the TV production, because I look at some of their edits now, or in some of their news broadcasts, and they don't have a lot of tech. Like, they're not using the teleprompter we had. The editing's pretty messy. The lights don't seem to be all functional. Because I was gone for a year before this year, and I had expected there to be, like, I had expected Evie to be in the class. I taught some of the other kids in the class, and they weren't in it. The only person who I think was still in it was the one girl who I don't think ever paid attention to me explaining the technicals. And so because of seniority, I bet the like role of person in charge fell on her, but she was not, I doubt she knew what she was doing, and the teacher didn't know what he was doing still. Because I never tried to teach the teacher. Or I kind of did, actually. I recorded tutorials. I don't even know if they watched it. I recorded editing tutorials and I stuck it in the Google Drive over the summer. But now I look at it and there's like no one there who would have passed on the information that I had. And so as a result, the show is running worse. So I'm really considering, I probably will, trying to reach out to the current TV production teacher and being like, hey, I was kind of in charge like 2021 to 2023. I know some of the technicals. Do you want me to come, or would you want me to come someday and help and like set things up some, or like show how it can be used? I don't know what she's gonna say. I mean, worst thing she says is no, but like, but that is more proof to that I love the program, I don't love the school. I think the school deserves to have a shit TV production program after how they screwed me over. I don't think the TV production program deserves to be shit. The last thing that was brought up to me, the opposite of what I would have expected. I say in the video how I've been working on this for so long. I've been working on it for a year, and it's been incredibly taxing on me for my mental health. It is holding on to this grudge and not moving on, and feeling like there's more to say, feeling like I've been wronged, and so badly wanting to get over that and express that and feel like I can move on. And so I did, right? And so the goal and the idea was to never fucking go back to this. Never fucking make another video or thing or whatever on this. Nothing with the school. Nothing with the district. Moving on. But I had my old math teacher from middle school, who is now a member of the school board, reach out to me and said, Jake, will you do separate videos for mental health and ESER? I would totally link to those and post them if that's something you're okay with. Great job. I'm sorry you got shut down when you wanted to report on this originally. But the question of would I go more into mental health and ESER? Or would I go more into mental health really as a whole? Because the whole point of my video is that I am saying this is not being dealt with properly. It seems like there are a lot of issues here that are being ignored and they're not being transparent about it all. So would I dig in deeper? Would I investigate further? If they're not being transparent, then what mess is actually under the hood? The answer, no. At least not for the foreseeable future. I won't do that because I am exhausted of having gone through this shit. I will say it was cathartic to do it, to be able to get this out, to kind of get some sense of closure. But I myself don't plan on going into it. Maybe the situation would change if I had like employees. You know, currently I edited that 2-hour video all by myself. I wrote it all, but pretty much all by myself. Like 98% me. Researched it all by myself, recorded it all by myself, edited it all by myself, months and months, a year of work, right? All by myself. And because it was all by myself, it took longer. So if I were to make something more, it would still be by myself. It would still take a fucking while, and because it would take a fucking while, then all this shit would still be on my mind, still be bogging me down and a weight on my shoulders. Because also, if I were to be trying to cram it in on top of doing daily videos for the Fun channel now and daily streams and stuff, it would be exhausting. So no, I'm not going to do it for the foreseeable future. Now, if I could in the future try to delegate shit more, have someone to help with writing, have someone to help with editing, or even for the daily channel. I mean, that was kind of my thought process previously when I thought about really diving more into the live channel, is that hopefully at a certain point I can get this going enough so that I can have other people helping me with it, so that I don't need to be putting in 150% effort every single day to keep it going. I can instead put in 30% effort, and then all the other parts of the machine will be getting pushed along by other people. Or I don't even know. But like essentially I can just do the stream and then it'll be edited by someone else, maybe even a thumbnail by someone else. But so if I were to get enough people so that I could delegate a lot of these things, and I would be more than happy to do it once, you know, I get an income to go off of, then maybe I would think more about going back to the serious stuff. Because the fun stuff is what I need to be doing to keep myself alive. If I, as like some kind of passion project, go back and investigate something, go make a serious video, go do some other investigation, some whatever, just because I feel like there needs to be something said about it, but it's not at the expense of all the funny stuff, then I might. But that is not in the foreseeable future. That is in the long-term future, the way long-term future, which I am not at. Currently, I am getting a headache from having to deal with the daily shit because I keep playing Red Dead Redemption 2 in the mornings rather than immediately going to work, and that costs me. But that being said, I am not done. Technically. Pretty much, but not technically. You may ask, what do you mean? I need to figure out who, I need to figure out where, I need to figure out what. I want to go to some of the like local news people in town. Local newspapers, news publications, news channels, I don't know. Anywhere that does actual journalism in town. And I want to essentially just submit them this. Because when I previously talked about this all with someone I was trying to get writing assistance with, their mom was like a film festival person, and so I talked to their mom some, and their mom was saying how this is a very interesting story, you could easily sell this to someone. And I was like, no, this is personal, I want to do it myself. Now, I'm not planning on selling this to any news publication. If I could directly contact them rather than hoping it ends up landing in their lap, and essentially just say, hey, I did some baseline investigation into this. It was baseline because I am an independent individual who does not have many resources, who doesn't know how to properly do investigative journalism, and who is not willing to do a bunch of Freedom of Information Act requests. But you know, I see everything about like the ESER stuff, everything I found in the video, for most of it actually, for most of the funds and everything I found in the video that I talk about in the video is the full extent to what I know, is the full extent to what I was able to find. And I did a lot of in-depth research. I really tried to find different things, tried to look at different numbers, really tried, and I couldn't. And so the whole point is they're not transparent. And so if there is someone, some publication, something who has resources or just the more tenacity than I do here to keep pushing past the transparency. I don't have the resources or energy or effort or willpower or whatever to be able to follow the money trail. I just know that it disappears. So if I could essentially hand off this story to someone else and be like, hey, look, here is this video. The majority of it is personal. It is autobiographical. However, there is this part here which talks about how they kept a school segregated. There's these parts here which talk about bad practices by the schools. And then there's this huge part here about how funding numbers disappear. Funding money disappears. Millions are not going to mental health even though they're supposed to be going to mental health. I want to hand this story off to someone. I feel bad that I was only able to scratch the surface of this. I was only able to see that something doesn't smell right and not actually find out what the issue is. Because I would love some proper piece of investigative journalism that actually shows how this is being bad, I guess. How money is disappearing and where it is actually going rather than where it is supposed to be going. I think there very easily and there definitely should be some kind of proper journalism into this. But I can't do that. I mean, that's what I said at the start of the video. I say the disclaimer of how I really wanted this to be some perfect piece of art, but I can't do that. I can't be a proper journalist here because I'm exhausted from it. Because of how personal this is, how much of everything, and how the fact that I need to move on. If someone else can do an amazing investigative piece about it, then that is awesome, and I think that is noble, and I think there would be a lot to find there. But I can't be that person. I need to move on. So yeah, I am going to see if there are tip lines or anything for news publications here, or even like a college newspaper group or something. Just like trying to go to all these different ones, send in the tip line and be like, hey, look, I found out a lot of this suspicious stuff, but I don't have the resources to be able to properly investigate this and I need to move on. But I would highly encourage and hope that you look into this some, because it feels like there's something wrong here. I want to do that. I am going to do that. I just need to figure out where and what I submitted to. With that all being said, I'm exhausted.